So, es werden ein paar fette Cyberpunk 2077 Updates kommen und ich freue mich schon. Aber das Allerwichtigste wäre mir, dass man bitte, wenn man das Spiel neu anfängt, man ein paar Gespräche skippen kann, vor allem die Autofahrten. Das geht mir so unglaublich auf den Sack, dass die erst alles ausreden müssen, ganz langsam, und dann muss man erst warten, bis die Hauptgespräche fähig sind, um das dann zu skippen. Weil ich jetzt schon wieder dran denke, wird mir richtig übel und schlecht und geht mir auf den Sack. Also wenn ihr irgendwas wisst, ob es irgendeine Mod gibt, die das entfernt, wo man einfach sehr viel größere Teile des Spiels skippen kann, von diesen Gesprächen her, dann gebt mir bitte Bescheid. Ich habe schon gesucht und nichts gefunden. Schlimm.
Right off the bat, in this new Cyberpunk 2077 trailer, we can see new mechanics on display, with some of the overhauled cyberware functionality that was promised being showcased finally. As it looks like now, if you do have the reinforced tendons that double jump cyberware, you are going to literally be able to leap off of motorcycles in epic fashion. And immediately after that, we can see a new mid-air dash ability being used, likely tied to the new relic skill tree. Because yes, earlier today, Cyberpunk 2077 got an epic new gameplay trailer at Gamescom's opening night live. This showing off many of the new features coming with Phantom Liberty and the newly revealed patch 2.0. And I'm able to have a pretty unique perspective on a lot of this because I was fortunate enough to be invited by CDPR to play about an hour of Phantom Liberty earlier this summer. So I was able to actually use many of these new features, although now we're only just getting our first publicly released gameplay of them. So yes, the new Ways to Play gameplay trailer opens with a showcase of some new cyberware abilities. This being quite exciting, as one of the advertised features of this update was more cyberware feeling cyberware. And getting to launch yourself off of a motorcycle with some bionic legs does feel
Und ich hoffe auch noch ein paar neue Cyberdecks und ein bisschen mehr Unterstützungsmaterial mit dem Quick Hacks. Da bin ich nämlich voll mit dabei.
like a perfect example of that. Although funny enough, what we're actually seeing here in this opening is a new repeatable piece of content with airdrop missions. These missions will seemingly be given by the fixer Mr. Hands while you're in Dogtown. As we saw some of in a previous trailer, Dogtown, the new district with Phantom Liberty, will feature a thriving black market, and we actually get a glimpse of this here later on in the trailer. So on one hand, this is a pretty cool in-world reason for some of the new items that are added to the game. We're seeing a new black market with Dogtown, where illegal items are sold that you wouldn't typically be able to find in other areas of Night City, hence a bunch of new items available to us. But as a result, there are airdrops being flown around all over, and occasionally these are going to land in the wrong place and as a result be up for grabs, both for you as well as other soldiers. And that's what we're seeing here in this opening, an airdrop randomly dropping, and this is truly random from a gameplay perspective. This is a new radiant piece of content, that meaning that it's constantly
Ja, juckt mich jetzt nicht so.
happening in the background as you're playing and will always be random. And in fact, in Phantom Liberty, this isn't even the only piece of Radiant content. In addition to airdrop missions, there'll also be courier missions in Dogtown, but we don't know much about those. And in this trailer, we're able to see some new Barghest soldiers around the airdrop. This is going to be the main group in control of Dogtown. They're going to even replace the NCPD in this district. You're going to be fighting these guys pretty often, and they're going to be led by Kurt Hansen, who is the ruler of Dogtown. But as we transition to some of these new weapons, this is where an important disclaimer has to come up. As of right now, it's not entirely clear what is free versus paid, but it's going to be a pretty important factor as we go through this trailer overall. We're getting both Phantom Liberty, a new paid expansion for Cyberpunk, as well as patch 2.0, a new free update for Cyberpunk, right around the same time. Phantom Liberty is going to run you $30, and if you haven't picked it up yet, you can even get it DRM free on GOG using my affiliate link down below. But we do know that some features are expansion only, and as such paid content, like getting access to the district itself or even the new relic tree will only be a part of this expansion. But when it comes to things like new weapons,
Der Relic Tree? Oh, haben sie die anderen Skilltree noch überarbeitet?
which we're about to go over, we don't actually know what of these are paid versus what of these are free, or maybe all of these are going to be a free update. So as we go through this entire video, just keep that in mind. With many of these features, we don't exactly know whether it's free content or paid content. But looking at these new weapons, they show off one for basically every category, and even show off 2 new sniper rifles. The design in these look
Ich weiß ja nicht. One for each category.
epic, with a notable curiosity being the Hercules, which is going to be some kind of prototype special weapon firing toxic rounds. In some of the previously shared gameplay, we have seen some of these weapons in action, notably Order, the new electrically assisted shotgun, and Warden, the new special Barghest Smart SMG. But we do get some more direct footage of one of the new sniper rifles that seems like it's going to have a 3-round mag and be a smart sniper rifle, as well as we are finally going to be getting a proper thermal katana in-game. The thermal katana was actually shown in some of the original marketing for Cyberpunk 2077, but ended up being cut before the release of the game, although thankfully with Phantom Liberty, or patch 2.0, it is finally coming back. And in this trailer, we could see that Cyberware got overhauled, not only in terms of its functionality, but also in the process of installing it and what effects it'll have. One of the major new features here is a cyberware limit. If you install too much cyberware, as we could see on this new bar on the side, you're going to get debuffs on your character. The full range of debuffs isn't currently known, but we know there's going to be things like reduced overall health for your character, and we have heard that this is going to be such a major overhaul that after you launch your save
Ich spiele eh mal als Glass-Cannon, ist okay.
with patch 2.0 installed, you're going to have a new quest with Victor.
Aber das ist schon geil, dass die sich anlehnen an das Netflix-Ding Edge Runners. Das ist schon ziemlich juicy.
To rework your currently installed cyberware. So after this new update, your current build may no longer be your current build. As well as reportedly, the engineering skill has been reworked to allow you to install more cyberware overall for your character. But on the right side, the fun continues, as we can see that the armor system has also been reworked. Now, armor is largely going to be disconnected from the clothing you wear, and instead, it's going to be what cyberware you have installed. So if you want better defenses, you need more or better cyberware, where a lot of the clothing or armor in the game is going to just be a visual aspect of your character now. In addition to the new visuals from within the trade menu, like we could see here, reportedly there's also going to be new animations that will play as you install cyberware on your character. So you could actually see the Ripper Doc installing that cyberware at least to some degree. But then we do get a complete view of that motorcycle scene from earlier. And we can see the ending now, where we use
Ich finde das Fahren immer noch schlimm.
an epic new slam ability with a melee weapon, this very likely being tied to a reworked perk in the game. This transitions us to the perk segment of the video, and we can see some of the new perks being used even here. This dash seems like it is even more extreme than the vanilla one, so likely a perk assisted dash, and we could even see ourselves throwing a new charged throwing axe, although that may just be a new
Ich habe auch ständig das Perk gesehen, Wurfmesser. Aber ich glaube, ich habe noch nie eins geworfen oder eins aktiv wahrgenommen, wenn ich es aufgehoben habe.
weapon and not actually a full-on new perk, but yes, perks as a whole were reworked with Cyberpunk 2077 2.0. In vanilla Cyberpunk, the perk trees are separated under each attribute. So typically, under each attribute, you're going to have several individual perk trees. But with this new update, they're going to be combined as one big tree under each individual attribute. And perks are even changed on an ideological level. So now, most of the major perks are going to give you new abilities, not just be stat boosters. The big icons you're seeing here are generally going to unlock some kind of new ability for your character, while the smaller icons around it are largely going to be enhancements to that ability to make that ability even more powerful.
Da macht es ein bisschen mehr Sinn. Man musste sich sehr viel durchlesen mit Kampfmaschine. Gab es in ein Stat, für jeden Kampfmaschinen-Stack kriegst du Quick Hack Reduction. Vom Cooldown her. Aber das bringt ja nichts, wenn du nicht vorher den Perk daneben ausgewählt hast, dass du überhaupt Kampfmaschinen-Stacks aufbauen kannst.
And the final largest icons are mostly ultimate perks, a lot of which were in the base game. And here we get a rapid fire of some of the new perks. We can see a new finisher with Blade Runner. This is not going to be automatic, but an active use ability that will appear when enemies have low enough health. Bullet Deflect is pretty straightforward, but incredibly epic at the same time. Opportunists will get this video demonetized if I show it fully, but it seems like this perk will give us the ability to steal our enemy's weapon and then finish them off with it. Air Dash is going to be that new mid-air dash ability that we talked about a bit earlier, but I feel like it's definitely not a coincidence that with this one they're showcasing it using a smart weapon. I have a feeling aiming while in midair is going to be incredibly difficult. Savage Sling is going to be another and far more unique finisher, as it seems like with this one, after finishing off an enemy, you'll pick them up and have the ability to throw their body at enemies, which is just epic. Based on its icon, it seems like Pull will make it so grenades blow up when in proximity to enemies instead of just based off of the timer in the grenade, basically turning these into impact grenades that don't quite have to impact enemies. And Pull immediately transitions into Deadeye, which appears to be a headshot perk. We can see
Dann würde es für mich auch ein bisschen mehr Sinn machen,
the
Granaten zu
reticle
haben.
changing here, so likely you automatically land headshots or
Geil.
just have a much easier time landing
Geil,
headshots when
vor
this
allem,
is
weil ich mit
active.
Controller
But then we
spiele.
have something that we know is a Phantom Liberty only feature. We have the new Relic skill tree, which seems to offer 9 new abilities that are really meant to emphasize and empower certain playstyles, particularly when using cyberware. And these are honestly pretty simple, at least the ones that are being showed off here, as each of these Relic perks are going to empower and enhance the abilities offered from the ARM cyberware. So we get a buffed up version of the projectile launch system, mantis blades, or gorilla arms. And I really do love this Relic glitch effect appearing on you. It closely resembles the Johnny glitch effect, and it's just a really nice touch for these perks. Which, speaking of, we know you're going to get Relic perks by completing activities during Phantom Liberty, so these perk points will likely be given at certain milestones or progression moments as opposed to just leveling up. We then get a preview of a bunch of new vehicles, which is a very welcome addition to the game. Overall, I thought these looked pretty good, but the real standouts to me were the new 6x6 as well as this thing. I am so excited to mow down enemies while driving this thing, but this is what stole my heart in my hands-on session. I got into this vehicle innocently during my hands-on and immediately had my vehicle's weapon system come online, which easily became my favorite feature of the update overall. Because yes, Cyberpunk 2077 is not only getting new vehicles, but also vehicle combat, and best of all, built-in weapons to a variety of
Ändern sie damit auch die anderen Missionen, die man hatte? Die Base-Game-Mission?
the vehicles in the game. Some of the higher end vehicles even have multiple weapon systems integrated at once. And there are a bunch of mechanics around this. Vehicles are now hackable with options to make them explode, speed
Nice,
up, or
danke.
slam on their brakes. But also you, as well as other NPCs, can now fire from vehicles. This can either be with your typical weapons out of the window, or some vehicles will even have built-in weaponry. In addition, the police system received a comprehensive rework. Now police will spawn in cars a short distance away from you instead of just being on foot. And it goes much further than that, with Max Tech actually dropping from airships now, as well as having other overhauls, and even police roadblocks can be set up in the game, this likely being a potential car chase response that could spawn around you. And towards the end of this trailer, we see a preview of all of the major features coming with patch 2.0 and Phantom Liberty. And like I mentioned earlier, we don't know exactly which feature is a part of which content drop, but the notable new mentions here are going to be the level cap increase and the combat AI overhaul. Those haven't
Danke.
really been showcased too much, but they seem like they'll definitely have a major impact on gameplay. And at the end of the preview, we seem to get introduced to a new character that is likely going to be involved in the Phantom Liberty storyline overall. After the trailer at Opening Night Live, we get a reveal of Cyberpunk 2077 2.0. This is going to be the name of the new update, and a very fitting one at that. And we learn about all of this from Eula Permac, which is going to be a gameplay designer at CDPR that presented at Opening Night Live. Overall, I felt like this was another incredible trailer from CDPR, but not without fault, as I think there are two major issues with the marketing for Phantom Liberty overall. The trailer itself was amazing. It gives us a clear look at how Cyberpunk 2077 is truly evolving into the game we always hoped it would be, and how this is really much more than just an expansion. It's clearly a comprehensive overhaul of the base game as well. But there's two major issues here. One, I think CDPR needs to do a better job at differentiating what is a paid feature versus a free one. I'm sure there's a fair few people out there that maybe just didn't ever get into Cyberpunk. It had a highly controversial release. Maybe this is just now when some people are going to jump in for the first time. So you see these new
Das kann gut sein, aber 30 € sind ein bisschen zu fett und ich habe leichte Gefühl, ich werde das nicht mögen mit dieser extra exklusiven Gegend. Dann gibt's einen cooleren Waffentyp von den Sachen, so. Ich würde das Base Game dann eher nochmal spielen. Das wär's, ja. Und mir den Skilltree angucken. Und ich hoffe ganz stark, dass der Kampf gegen Adam Smasher besser wird.
trailers, you see it being mentioned as a 2.0 update, which has a free connotation around it.
Der einfach nur geblockt ist. Du machst bei ihm 15% Schaden, er rennt 2 Minuten rum, du musst alle Goons töten, wieder 15% Schaden, dann nochmal 30 und dann irgendwann nur warten und weglaufen. Langweilig. Ich war übelst overpowered mit dem Hacken. Ich habe richtig ihm alles durchbraten lassen. Bei der Fickflocke.
Not realizing that, oh, a bunch of these features actually are going to be behind an expansion paywall. And I think just a better view of what's free versus paid would go a long way. And the other issue is a much smaller one, but it's around the odd release timing. It's been confirmed multiple times now that 2.0 is set to release before Phantom Liberty. The free update is meant to drop before the expansion, but we don't know when that is. Due to legal requirements, with them changing the system requirements, they have to give a 90-day notice, meaning that the earliest the 2.0 update update can drop is the second week of September, only slightly before Phantom Liberty anyway. But it does seem like there might be this really odd situation where Phantom Liberty actually drops a week after patch.
Das wäre ja doof. Leute, komm, 2 Wochen sind genügend Zeit, das Spiel nochmal durchzuspielen, die Hauptstory, noch ein paar Nebenstories, das Spiel nochmal anders zu experience. Hast du dann nach einer Woche, wenn du es intensiv gezockt hast, dann noch Bock, nochmal ins DLC reinzugehen? Oder ist man dann schon wieder satt?
2.0 drops, and I think just making that timing a bit clear would be good. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if most fans don't even know that 2.0 is meant to drop before Phantom Liberty. And more is coming. In just 2 days,
Hört sich dumm an.
CDPR is doing a deeper dive.
Weil die Wahrscheinlichkeit, dass ich das Game zocke, das so geil finde, mit den Changes jetzt nochmal, dann ist die Wahrscheinlichkeit höher, dass ich mir doch das DLC hole und dann nochmal rein.
Into this new content with their next Red stream. And even just next week, CDPR will hold another earnings call, so we'll be able to hear a bit more from those at the highest level of the company. So get subscribed, because I'm going to be making videos on whatever is said at each of these. But until then, check out this video where I talk about my top 10 mods for Cyberpunk 2077 that have ever come out.
Ich habe auch ordentliche RAM-Kosten.